Here is a speech from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, who is the Moshiach, King Moshiach. And here he's teaching us. The main thing of Moshiach is going to be that he's going to teach everyone. And here it is. We're learning the teachings of the Moshiach. And what is the Moshiach telling us? You're going to see right now. Here we go. The importance of this physical world. The same message we had before, but from a different angle. Here we go. Dover Pamim Rabos, we have spoken many times, Shakol and Yanim, that everything which is spoken about in the Torah are teachings for us. The word Torah means hora'ah, teaching. Mechilim, they contain inside of them many eternal lessons for each and every Jew and for all of the Jewish people for all time, every place, and every situation. The Torah was given to the Jews. But it's given to the Jews to explain values to the world. But the Jews have to get it first. Hora klalis, and there are certain general teachings, and also horaos, and also teachings that are specific for specific times and specific places, different times and different places where a Jew is found. Generally speaking, like this, they said that the first Rebbe of Chabad said that we have to live with the times, which that was a very dangerous statement to make in those days because being modern was the big enemy of Judaism, right? People were saying that the Torah is already, 3,000 years old. Come on, that's old stuff. We have a new world now. Now there's, philosophy and there's art and music and things like that, which are not talked about in the Torah. Let's sort of jettison the Torah and live in the real way. Let's live with the times. And the Alter Rebbe and Judaism was saying, no, the Torah is eternal. And so the Alter Rebbe said, no, we do have to live with the times. What does it mean live with the times? That the Torah is a brand new message, eternal message for every time and every place. And it's sometimes the same message has been given for 3,300 years. Like, for instance, lying is bad. We can say the times have changed, but people have not changed. People still have the same urges and the same desires and the same lusts and the same fears and the same personality as they did when Adam was created. Exactly the same. And so that's what the Torah is here in order to fix up our personality. But there's also different situations when we meet certain, conflicts, and we have to make decisions, and we have to decide what our values are. And that's the Torah is also relevant to each and every individual situation. So let's have a look. Let's see, how can we learn? Take an example. How can we learn something practical from a story that happened like 4,000 years ago, that Yehuda met up with Joseph, and Joseph was the king of Egypt? I mean, so what? What possibly could that have to do with the Jewish people now, or even more has to do with me and you? But you're the king of Egypt. It's a story that was, okay. So we're going to learn the lesson. Here we go. We're going to see what is the relevance of this episode in the Torah to each and every one of us. Kamoke, and similarly is relevant to the parsha of the week, the Torah portion of the week, that from it you have to live that whole week. That's what the Alter Rebbe said. You have to live with the times, then with the Torah portion of that week. How it changes, the Torah portion changes every week. That, what it says in the Torah portion, that is especially relevant to this week, to our times. How? Here, this week's Torah portion says, Vayigash alav Yehuda. That Yehuda approached Yosef. Like we talked about before, Yosef is now the king of Egypt. Egypt is the ruler of the whole world. So Yosef is the de facto ruler of the whole world. And Yehuda comes with his brothers. They haven't got any food, and they're poor. They're starving. The world is starving, and they come to Yosef begging. They have nothing. and now they're totally under in the hand of Yosef, and Yosef takes the youngest brother, who is beloved of all the brothers, the youngest brother of all the brothers that come up, Benjamin, and he puts him in jail. He says, "That's it. I'm taking him for." And the brothers go berserk. Well, what's going to be? Our father is going crazy. He's going to lose Benjamin. He already lost Joseph. They don't know they're talking to Joseph. And Joseph also took Shimon into prison. Anyway, so now Yehuda comes to Joseph. Please, Joseph, please release my brother. We're innocent. That's the story. That's this week's Torah portion. And then Joseph reveals himself. He says, "No, I'm your brother. Joseph, you thought I was dead. You thought I'm not." And all of a sudden, everything just comes back. They're not in danger, and exactly the opposite. In 1 second, everything flips around, and their brother is the king of the world, and the brother still loves them, and he cares about them, and everything changes. 1 instant. From it, there must be an eternal teaching that gives us to understand the tochen avoda, ba'ofen hanaga of Yehudi, the main service and a conduct of a Jew, even relevant to our time that we are in now. But we are now, says the Rebbe, in the last moments of exile. Usmichas, and we are right next to, immediately approaching the Geula Mitit Veshlema, a total redemption of the Jewish people. Kamaduba, like we said many, many times, and especially last week we talked about it, etc. Now, what's this future redemption going to be? It's going to be, first of all, number one, it says that the Jews won't be, the non-Jews won't make trouble for us. That's already right now. We make all the troubles we have, we're making for ourselves, right? We put the Palestinians there. We did it all ourselves. Okay. But the whole idea of the future redemption is that everyone themselves is going to change. The Jews will stop making trouble for themselves. The Jews will start being Jews. And when that happens, then the world is going to be a better world. The Jews nowadays, there's these arguments they have. Just take a simple example, the Palestinians and these people. And the Jews got nothing to say. We don't know what to say. We can say, listen, the land is ours. It was given to us by God. God is real. God is creating you. God is good. Do what God says, and you'll see it's going to be good. The world will be good. He's creating you, right? That's going to be the message, and it's right on the edge. It's on the tip of our lips. It's on the edge of our tip of our tongues, just to say it to the whole world that God really exists, gave the Torah. All these other religions are lies. Just to say it, right? It's just lacking that little bit for us to really believe it, us to really feel it, not to be intimidated in the world, not to be ashamed of the world. Just to say it, all of a sudden the whole world will change. That's called the Geula. Everybody recognizes there's a creator in the. So says the Rebbe, we're right at the edge of it. We're right at the edge of it. People will start to recognize that that's the whole world is going to be changed. Bashkafa Rishona, at first glance, Mudgasha the Sheikhas, we can see the connection between our Torah portion by Yigash of Yehuda with the Geula. One way you can see it is in the Haftorah of the Shabbos. The Haftorah of the Shabbos, which the Haftorah is usually connected to the portion of the week. And the Haftorah of the Shabbos is a prophecy from Yechezkel, Ezekiel. Ezekiel has a prophecy. And what's Yechezkel's prophecy over here? Is he says, Benadar is. Oh, it says. Did I skip this? I don't remember. Okay, in the Haftorah of this, here it is Haftorah of this Shabbos, which is always in the topic of the week of the Torah portion. It's talking about the unity of the Jewish people, the unity of the kingship of King David with the kingship of Yosef in the future. Lasid Lavo. And what does it say? Now we have to understand something over here. What does it mean, the unity of Yehuda and Yosef. All the Jews are Yehuda. That's what we're called Jews. Yehuda means Yehudim. We don't know where the other 2 tribes are. The other 10 tribes are, I'm sorry. And there were 12 tribes, right? 12 tribes. 10 of the tribes made their own kingdom after King Solomon died. 2 of the tribes, Yehuda and Benjamin, they remained below. They remained in the lower part of Israel. That's also where the Holy Temple was. Benjamin sort of got swallowed up by Yehuda. But the other 10 tribes, it says they were taken away about 100 years something before the first temple was destroyed. And that's it. No one knows where they are. Those are the lost 10 tribes. So they've been lost for 2,700 years or something like that. You have to count it. That's a long time, 2,700 years. And nobody knows where they are. They're all scattered around among the non-Jews. And they're scattered. And once in a while, somebody pops up and says, "Oh, these are the Jews. Here, these people. Look, they light the Hanukkah menorahs or something." But nobody's found them now. There's no one. And they say maybe the Ethiopian Jews, maybe the Japanese. There were people from India. There were people from this. There was one theory that all the English people are all of the 10 tribes because the king and the queen, the royal family, the males are all circumcised at the age of 8. Maybe they are, maybe this. But the fact of the matter is they haven't been found, and Mashiach will find them. So what has this got to do with anything? It says, and they'll be unified. They'll be unified. So this means, what does that got to do with me and you? Let the Mashiach find these people and bring them. It's a political thing. It says, no. That's true, it will be political. But the main thing is that we have to embody this inside of ourselves before we can appreciate it happening outside, and it'll actually happen outside. Here it goes. Ready? What does the prophet Ezekiel say? Now, Ezekiel, he was over there in the first temple. And he's prophesizing what's going to be 2,700, 800 years later. I don't know if even he dreamed it would take so long. I mean, God says to Yechezkel, take one stick, the Ketuv Alav, and write on it, Yehuda, for Judah. Take another stick and write on it, Yosef. Now, Yosef, he was the main one of the 10 tribes that left. Yerovam ben Nevat, he became the king of the 10 tribes. He became a big sinner, but Yerovam ben Nevat, he became a big sinner, but it started off really good, a holy person, and he was from the tribe of Ephraim. He was from Yosef. So Yosef, that was the dominant thing. So it says that take one stick and write on it Yehuda, and take the other stick and write on it Yosef. Right. So that's the representative of the division of Israel that happened after King Solomon died. There were the 10 tribes. They were in the north, and there were the 2 tribes. They were in the south. The south, that was Yehuda, and the up top part, that was Ephraim or Yosef, called. And Ephraim was one of the sons of Yosef, right? Yosef was one of the 12 tribes, but his tribe got divided into 2. They got a double portion, Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay, so it says, so God tells Yechezkel, Ezekiel, the prophet, there's going to be a unification of all the Jews. Take one stick and write on it Yosef. That represents the 10 tribes that nobody knows where they are. And take one stick and write on it Yehuda. V'korav otam echad al echad, and put them close one to the other. Lecha, for you, le'etz echad, to be one piece of wood, one stick. Ko amar Hashem, this is what God says. Hine, ani lokeach et bnei Yisrael, I'm taking the Jewish people and being a goyim from the nations. Asher holchu sham, that they went there. V'kibatzti otam, and I will gather them. Misaviv, from everywhere. V'asiti otam legoy echad, and they will become one nation. Umelech echad yeh lekulam, and there'll be one king for all of them. But David Avdi, and King David, my servant, Nasi Le'am La'olam, will be a leader for them forever. The Yodua Goyim, and the nations will know that I am God. Huh? When is this going to happen? Any second now. Any second. But Nosef Lakach, Haftorah, that this Haftorah portion that we read from Ezekiel, Mevatet, it expresses only regarding the Geula, the future redemption, but Ein Mikach Limud, Bara Lapol, Ba'avoda, Shel, Bnei Yisrael. What about what we're supposed to do? What are we supposed to do now before God does all this? Good, God is going to do it. There's going to be a big revelation. Here we see it happening in the world. I mean, clearly we see in America, there's this anti-Semitism waking up. There was never, ever in the history of, in the world, anything like it. Just incredible. In Germany, so they had anti-Semitism. They made up reasons why the Jews, right? The Jews are they're not faithful to America. They're not faithful to Germany. The Jews are poisoning us. They're different. There's some, at least in America, there's no reason. There's not, all of a sudden, there's no reason at all. They just hate the Jews, right? Why do they hate the Jews? Because the Israeli army attacked. So hate the Israeli army. Hate the Israeli government. Hate only the Zionists. Hate collective guilt. I hate all the Jews. Some guys that they never even heard of Israel. There's Jews that they don't even know what. They've never been there. They don't care about it. Hate all the Jews. And there's a big case now that it's not only permissible, it's a good thing to say it on the campuses of the highest levels of education. They're supposed to be educating the whole world about what is good and what is bad and what is this. And the highest levels of education is, you can say, hate the Jews. So all the Jews are starting to realize, hey, what's going on over here? What's happening? Why do people hate? What's wrong with being a Jew? I thought there was no meaning to it at all. And now it's not only meaningful, but I'm hated. I mean, I arouse emotions. This thing in me that I'm a Jew, which arouses no emotions in me whatsoever, the fact that I'm a Jew, is all of a sudden arousing everybody's emotions. They're all the Jews, and they make signs. But that's God's business. That's not our business, right? What's that got to do with me? Let God do what he's doing. So there's anti-Semitism. So it'll wake up the Jews in the world. That's God that says the Rebbe. No, that's true. That's true. But the Torah is coming to tell me and you something that we're supposed to do. Drusha Gam Hezra, we have to understand what's the connection of the Haftorah with the Torah portion. Not only does this Haftorah message of Ezekiel not seem to have any practical meaning to us, me and you, except maybe to tell us that there's, this thing is going to happen, that God is going to gather all the Jews. But it doesn't seem to have any message for me day to day, right? Maybe look in the news to see when it's happening or something. I don't know. Says the Rebbe, no. It's not so. It has a meaning to us. What's the meaning? We'll find out. We don't. Doesn't see. It says not only that. It seems that the Torah portion that we're reading and the Haftorah portion that we're reading, they also don't seem to have any connection. Not only does this Haftorah portion of Ezekiel about taking the sticks and putting them together not have any connection to what I'm supposed to do, it doesn't even have seemingly any connection to the Torah portion, which it's supposed to be connected to. It's supposed to be similar. What's the message of the Torah portion? The message of the Torah portion is the Yigash of Yehuda. That Yehuda is low and he's coming close to Yosef. Hu l'chiora token. This is the opposite of what it says in the Haftorah, the David Avdi, that David, he's going to be the king in the Haftorah. In the Torah portion we're reading is Yehuda is nothing. He's like a visitor with no rights whatsoever. And Yosef is the king of the whole world. And in the Haftorah, it's exactly the opposite. It says that King David, he's from Yehuda, he's going to be the high one. David Avdi, he'll Nasi Aleim, he'll be the king forever. Shari B'Hagashes Yehuda Yosef, when Yehuda comes close to Yosef in the Parsha in general, Mudgash, it's stressed how Yosef is the Balabayas the Mishnah Lamelech. It's our Torah portion says that Yosef, he's the viceroy of the whole world, of Egypt, and Egypt rules over the whole world. And Yehuda, he's a nobody. He's beholding to Yosef. Yehuda, he's groveling on the ground. He has to get Vayigash alav Yehuda, and he has to request that he'll release Benjamin. Vayomer says, "Be Adonai, please, no, let me speak to you. You are like Paro. Chashuv atah, you are important to me like a king." That's what Yehuda was saying to Yosef, because Paro gave you the whole land of Egypt. You're the whole. Without you, a person, nobody can lift up their hand or their foot. And especially that Paro, it says that Paro, according to some opinions, that Paro was Moshel B'Kipa, that Paro ruled the whole entire world. So Yehuda was basically ruling the whole world. I mean, Yosef was ruling the whole world, and Yehuda was a nobody. He didn't even have any food. That's in the Torah portion. Yosef is the boss. Which is not the case in the future. The prophecy that Ezekiel is giving, it says that Yehuda is going to be higher than all of them. It says he's going to be the king. David is going to be the king. Moshiach is going to come from the tribe of Yehuda. Melech echad yelekulam. There's going to be one king. Avdei David, my servant David. He's going from Yehuda. He's going to rule over all of them. David Avdi Nasi Aleim. And it says David is going to be a ruler forever. Yuvan Zebehekte, and we can understand by preceding something first. Let's understand a parsha with the end of it. What's the beginning of our Torah portion this week and the end of it? What's the beginning of our Torah portion? Like we said, that Yosef is the king of the world and Yehuda is begging Yosef. What's the end of the Torah portion? That all the Jews are living well in Egypt. Let's see. It says, no, it's that the end has a special connection with the beginning, and the beginning has a special connection with the end. So there must be a very special connection between the beginning of this week's Torah portion and the end. What's the beginning and the end? We have to understand. In the end of our Torah portion, it says, "V'yeshiv Yisrael be'eretz Mitzrayim be'eretz Goshen," that the Jewish people lived in the land of Israel, in the land of Egypt, in the land of Goshen. Goshen was like the best part of Egypt. It says that they took possession of this land of Goshen, and they were successful and fruitful and multiplied very much. Shazim Mara, this shows on the power of Yaakov and his sons. Even when they were in Egypt, told Paro that they were under the rulership of Paro, the king of Egypt. Paro could wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, what am I letting these people stay here for? Make them all slaves," which eventually that's what happened. But nevertheless, here our Torah portion tells us, excuse me, that despite the fact that Paro was the ruler, the Jews, de facto, they were the rulers. They were doing the best. They were great. And Paro said, "Tov kol ha'oretz Mitzrayim lachem hu." Take the best part of the land of Egypt. They saved the world. They saved Egypt. Yosef and his brothers, they saved the whole world. If it wasn't for them, then everybody would have died. There was a famine in the whole world. So Paro said, "Egypt, the whole world is yours. Take the best part of Egypt." According to his command, Mekablim Haim, Achuza, they received a portion in the best part of the land of Egypt. In a way, in a way that they could take possession of it, and then they would succeed and be fruitful very much. Ma'od. The woman said, on the other hand, that's the end of the Torah portion. And the beginning, it's exactly the opposite. Vayigash alav Yehuda, that Yehuda is begging. In the beginning of the Torah portion, it stresses that Yehuda and his brothers, they are in the worst situation they could possibly be. They had to beg from Yosef. At the end of the Torah portion, it's saying that Yehuda and his brothers and all the Jewish people, they're the highest, they're the best in the world. They're sitting in the best place, in the most fertile place in the world, in Egypt, and they have the best land in Egypt. And there they are on the top. In the beginning of our Torah portion talks about how Yehuda and his brothers, that they're on the bottom. Liyochahu Balabayat, that Yosef, he's the ruler of the whole land. Ulifnei Shab Yosef. This is before Yosef revealed himself in front of his brothers. So it's the opposite of the end of the portion. So the beginning of the Torah portion, it talks about how low and empty the Jewish people were. They were all slaves and servants and begging from Yosef. And in the end, it talks about how great the Jewish people were, that they were on the top. Is there a connection between the beginning and the end? Says the Rebbe, the connection is like this. The explanation is like this. Even though that at first glance, it seems that which Yehuda came to Yosef, this expresses the power of Yosef, how powerful Yosef is. That Yosef is the leader of Egypt, and how that Yehuda needs Yosef. But when you think about this, you realize it doesn't show how low Yehuda is. We can say that Yehuda, hitnaeg kan betokef v'rachavos breike yotzim yaklal. We see that Yehuda, on the other hand, he was acting as though he was the king. He was not intimidated at all by Yosef. It says that when Yehuda came close to Yosef, he approached Yosef, he said he was ready to beg him, but he was also ready for war. He came powerfully in front of Yosef, assertively. Yosef was then Kabokoach. He was the ruler of the earth. He was the viceroy. He was the assistant king of the world. And without him, like Pharaoh said to Yosef, Lo Yirim Ishes Yado Vesraglo Bakal Eretz Mitzrayim. No one will lift up their hand or their foot in the whole land of Egypt. The foot means no one's going to go on a horse. Everybody has to ask Yosef for permission for everything. Yosef had principles, what he had, and he had policemen all over the place to show that everything went exactly the way he wanted. But especially that Paro was the ruler of the whole world. So Yosef, therefore, he was just like Paro. Practically speaking, de facto, Yosef was the king of the whole world. And Yehuda even himself said that you are like Paro, you rule the whole world. So Yehuda was the lowest, he was groveling to Yosef, right? Says, not exactly. The Marot Zod, even the fact that Yehuda had nothing and Yosef had everything, growing, we see that Yehuda, he didn't even know it was Yosef, his brother. Loit Pa'el Bekach. He was not intimidated by this at all. And he was wide, how do you say, he was open, brave, assertive. Afilu Belila Vakesh Kodem Rishud Yosef. He didn't say, may I come close, your majesty, may I say something? He said, Vayigash Alav Yehuda. He came close to Yosef. He approached without any permission. He came in an assertive way. He said, he approached assertively and he said, my master, please, I want to understand. But Yosef saw that he was respect. He came with respect. But on the other hand, he came with courage. Confrontational. He spoke to him kashot, hard looking. Therefore, therefore he said, please don't get angry. In other words, there was reason for Yosef to get angry, right? I'm not coming with permission. I'm coming with uninvited. Yehuda said to Yosef, you didn't invite me. I didn't ask for permission. I'm coming and telling you, like, please release my brother. So he said, and please don't get mad. In other words, there was a good reason for Yosef to get mad. Even though that he, how do you say, asserted himself, he inserted himself into Yosef's world. And he was endangering himself. Yosef could have said, cut his head off, right? Immediately. What are you approaching me? Someone tries to come close to the president of the United States without being invited. So everybody jumps on him. Here, Yehuda is not invited. And Yosef rules the whole world. Yehuda was taking his life in his own hands. But he knew what Yosef could have do to him because of his chutzpah. So it comes out, Sheyigash alav Yehuda, that Yehuda is approaching Yosef, Vayigash alav, he came close to Yosef. Yehuda came close to Yosef. This is not showing how low Yehuda was and he was groveling on the ground. This is the tokef. This shows the power and the assertiveness, the courage of Yehuda. Al-Pizah, according to this, now it's understood the connection between Vayigash Yehuda, namely the power of the Jewish people in the land of Israel and the end of the Torah portion. Vayeshev Yisrael be'eretz Mitzrayim be'eretz Goshen ve'yachazubo. Why is it that the Jewish people in the end of the Torah portion were so high? Because of the assertiveness of Yehuda in the beginning. Yehuda never doubted for one moment that he is higher than the king of the world. Yehuda is a Jew. And also what it says in the end of the Haftorah, that King David comes from Yehuda, from Jude. Of my servant, he'll be the leader for all forever. And so in the beginning of this week's Torah portion shows how Yehuda is acting like a ruler. He's not afraid of Yosef at all. He's assertive. I'm a Jew. You release my brother. But he's saying, please, don't get angry with me. You have to understand, I'm a Jew. I'm asserting my rights to be a leader. And in the end of the Torah, we see in the end of the Haftorah, he really does become a leader. It says that King David from Yehuda, he'll be the leader of the whole world. And this is like what's expressed in the Tokef Vayigash alav Yehuda. Or we can say that this assertiveness that Yehuda had in the beginning of our Torah portion, this is what gave the power and laid the foundation that afterwards Yaakov and his sons could come down to Egypt in a way that not only that they were not under the rulership of Egypt, but exactly the opposite. Even when they came into Egypt, due to the courage and the brazenness of Yehuda, which he had because he's a Jew, that they could take possession of the land of Goshen and be very fruitful. The Yeterim is even more. This is the preparation for the coming of David Avdi, David my servant. He'll be a ruler over them forever. In other words, Moshiach. This is the message of our Torah portion. We have to be assertive. We have to be proper. We have to be friendly. We have to do things in a pleasant way. We have to respect others. But on the other hand, we have to respect the creator of the universe and our obligation to him first. We're representatives of the creator. And therefore, Yehuda was not intimidated at all by Yosef, exactly the opposite. He showed an assertiveness, and he said, listen, this is what I want. Release my brother. This is the way things are supposed to be. Because of that assertiveness, Yosef, this is what gave the Jews the power to be able to have their own special place in the land of Egypt, and eventually to bring Mashiach, who's going to be a king that we're going to talk about, God willing, tomorrow. And now, the Yom Yom. One moment.